Right. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me, your host, General Prime. I hope everybody had a fantastic week and a restful weekend. I did. I had a fucking stressful week, and I've been sleeping all day. And I just woke up and now I'm recording. Yeah. So how has the week been for me? The week has been kind of weird. My week was kind of weird. We finally had our presidential inauguration in Nigeria, and now the devil literally is our president. Like, the actual devil right now is our president. Like, listen, I don't understand how things like this happen, but I kind of came up with a theory because it's the only theory that makes sense to me, and I'm going to explain to you what that theory is. But first, I have to like go through some other things for me to get to my theory. The first thing I want to talk about is this, right? You know how everybody talks about, like, everybody believes that everybody believes in death. Like, everything is literally going to, like, everything literally has an end, regardless of how sophisticated it is, regardless of how important it is, regardless of how wealthy, or just if you regardless of how much of a priority we give it. At the end of the day, everything eventually has to come to an end, right? Some people believe in an afterlife. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some people believe in, maybe when you die, you kind of like you get transported to some planets where you become a god. Some people believe in that when you die, like, for example, atheists believe that when you die, that's it for you. Fin over, the story is ended, and that's it for you. Some people believe in like hell or heaven, which if you think of it, doesn't actually make that much sense. And some people also believe that we're in a simulation where we're actually in like some sort of computer simulation that is being run by some cosmic beings, and we are whatever it is that is happening in our lives right now is data that is supposed to be harvested and collected for some outer worldly cosmic purpose. There are so many beliefs that is tied to this idea of death, right? But there is a new kind of theory that has been emerging um for a while now. A new kind of theory that has been emerging for a while now. And this theory has to do with the fact that we don't actually die, right? We don't actually die. And whenever people actually whenever people actually get to that situation where they feel like, yeah, this is the end for them, like whenever somebody has gotten to the point where they know that they're going to die, either due to old age or sickness or accident or some other mishap that might happen, and you know that, yeah, this is this is the point where it is for me, right? What happens is that a new timeline, thread a new timeline thread um appears. Basically, a new timeline thread appears, and where that person was supposed to die in this reality, a new reality gets created, and they continue living their life. Like, it happens that, okay, in our reality the person dies, right? And then, but in that new reality the person doesn't actually die. Something something miraculous happens. Like, there's this idea of deus ex machina. Like, the hand of God comes in and redirects situations, and then the person continues living their life, right? Some The theory initially doesn't make sense, but if you put a little bit mental effort into thinking of it. Like, okay, what if the person is old and the person is dying of sickness? Of not sickness, of a natural cause, right? What happens is that the new reality that gets created, the new reality that gets created makes it so the person kind of, the person's memory kind of, not entirely, but a little bit, kind of gets wiped out, and the person's consciousness is being put in a younger body, right? That's why we sort of have videos where people remember, like for example, now there's this video I just saw on YouTube where the boy remembers that he was like a 4-year-old kid remembers that he experienced 9/11, like he was there when the twin towers, and he died there. And I've also seen another video where like a 7-year-old kid in Ireland or something, I cannot remember right now, he claims that he was a pilot in World War II. So things like that happen all the time, right? So that's kind of like the new kind of theory of death that has been emerging lately, where you don't actually die, you just, a new timeline just gets created, and then you get transported into that new timeline, and life keeps going. And but right here in our present reality, we assume and we experience your expiration as death, right? I didn't really give that much thought into it. I didn't really give that much thought into it until it actually happened to me, and it actually happened to me in a way that I feel like I still have the entirety of my previous consciousness still with me. And okay, like for example now, yeah, like I was saying, what if the person, some questions that come up that try to like make what is the word that I can use right now? Some questions that come up that try to, make sense of this theory is that what if the person is dying of natural causes, right? And then I explain that sometimes the new timeline that gets created removes the person's memory and puts the person in a younger body. Sometimes when people die abruptly, say out of an accident or something, the new timeline that gets created makes it so the accident actually didn't happen, right? Sometimes when people die in war, the new timeline that gets, let's say you get you get sniped, or you get like hit with like a grenade or something, or get shots in war, the new timeline that gets created makes it so that actually never happened, or something actually happens that you were never put in that situation. Like the new timeline that gets created makes it so you were never put in that situation where that leads up to your death. But then when you continue living, obviously you're going to encounter another situation where the probability of death is very high. But then in that reality you're going to die, and then another reality is going to be created where that actually didn't happen, right? So it goes on and on and on, and so we have infinite timelines, we have like infinite lifespans, like we actually don't die, right? So that's the theory. The reason why I kind of, I'm not going to say I believe in this entirely, but the reason why I kind of believe in it is because it has actually happened to me, and I feel like I have been put in another timeline. So let me explain. So one time I was driving, right? I was like driving, and I was like just driving through this back road. Usually there are no cars there. It's like usually a very isolated back road, and it's just like one straight long as back road, right? And so I was like, there are no cars here. It's a Saturday fucking morning. I was just like going on my normal Saturday morning errands. And at that time everybody would have still been asleep, right? That was what I was assuming, because right here on this island is very quiet. There are not a lot of people here, and on Saturdays usually, no, it was not a Saturday, sorry, it was a Sunday. So on Sundays usually, like, there are no cars, like everybody's just like at home resting, right? And so I was just like doing my normal driving morning route, morning errands on that Sunday morning, and there were no cars. Usually on that back road there are no cars, but on this particular Sunday there were literally nobody. There was literally nobody anywhere, and it was very early in the morning. So I was driving, so I was like, okay, since there's nobody here, let me just floor it a little bit and just like, just floor it a little bit. So I stepped on the pedal and I stepped on the throttle, and I was like going. I don't know how fast I was going, and towards the end of the street, like I don't know how this car came out. I don't know where the car came from, bro. God, I don't know where this car just came from. Just appeared out of literally fucking nowhere, and I don't know how. Like I play it. I always like play this stuff, replay it in my mind every single, like not every single day, but when that thought comes in, like when that stuff happens, or when I just remember it, I try to like replay every single moment that happened that day. And as in, first of all, I was driving very fast. Secondly, and I was very conscious, and usually I'm very conscious and I'm very aware of my surroundings, right? Secondly, there were no cars anywhere, right? Thirdly, when the car came, I don't know, okay, the car was coming out from another street, right? And I saw it, and I was like, okay, if I move left, because the car was by my right, and the car was already like just literally in front of me. So I was like, okay, if I move left, I'm going to like crash because there's like a fence by the left, right? Just a narrow street. So if I go left, I'm going to like crash into the fucking fence, and that will just be it. But if I go right, I'm probably going to like hit the back of the car, or I am going to like miss the car entirely, but then I'm going to like end up in a tree. And so there was just no option than to just like crash into the car. But I was like, okay, and all of this is happening in a matter of like less than a split second, right? Like less than a split second. Like everything I'm explaining to you right now is just, and while I am going like, I don't know, fucking 90 miles an hour, right? Everything that is going on right now in my head is just going on at that very tiny minuscule infinitesimal moment. And so I was like, okay, so I'm not going to like go behind the car because I'm going to end up in a tree. I'm going to try my best to go in front of the car and see how I'm going to like, I don't know, fucking try not to hit the fence, right? But I'm just going to try. So, but yet the fucking driver hadn't even seen me yet, right? Because these white people are always on their phones when they're driving. They're always on their phones. Like, I don't understand this fucking white. Do you know what I hate more than? Do you know what I hate more? There's one thing I hate in this life, and that is lies. I hate lies. I hate when people lie. As in, I can't stand, and somehow I always know when someone is lying. You understand? Somehow I always know when someone is lying. And I'll just be looking at you like, dude, what the why are you lying? Why just lying? Just say the truth. What are you going to do? If you just say the truth, as in, what the hell do you think is going to happen? Is someone going to beat you? You're an adult, right? So just say the fucking truth. So I hate lies. But one thing I hate more than lies in this life is people that fucking use their phones when they're driving. Bruh, that it pisses me the fuck off. Like, it boils me when I see somebody using their phones while driving. Like, it boils my soul. I'm like, first of all, I love cars, right? Not all cars are the same. People like to say, why why should I buy like a Ferrari, or why should I buy like a Lamborghini, or why should I buy like a F-150 when I can just buy a Toyota Corolla that do the same thing? That's not true. That's not true, bro. Yeah, they basically do the same job, but they're not the same. So when you're driving, first of all, you have to like be connected and be like present with everything that is going on with you, because I feel like I see driving as like a privilege, or like something is an art form. Actually, driving is an art form because obviously we have car races, we have drifting, we have like car shows, we have, as in, I'm just really into cars. So I see driving as something that is like, you, as in, as in it's just it's cool to drive, right? Even though sometimes people that drive a lot, sometimes it gets monotonous, sometimes it's kind of tiring. You understand? People that like take long drives and stuff like that, sometimes it might be tiring. For people that like drive shift sticks, like people that drive manual cars, like the monotonous repetitive um task of downshifting and upshifting and constantly, right? I understand that, and so that's why a lot of people opt for automatic cars these days. But at the end of the day, driving is fun for me. So why on earth are you? Why like you're in a fucking steel metal box going 30 miles an hour, going 50 miles an hour, going 150 miles an hour, right? Do you think you're the main character in the movie? Like, do you think nothing bad can happen to you? Like, I don't understand why you assume that nothing bad can happen to you. So that's what I hate. I hate when people are on their phones when they're driving. I hate when people are distracted when they're driving, when they're making calls, when they're just not being present and not concentrating. So that's what I hate. So these white people are so always they're just like that. You see them, and that's become so it has become so as in it's now so much that everybody's driving automatic cars. So everybody's just passive and have this laissez-faire attitude, and you see these fucking teenage girls fucking using their phones while driving, and obviously there are consequences to that. So on this particular day, back to my story, fucking driver didn't even fucking notice me. so I decided that all right, everything that I've been saying so far is, like I said before, happening within like in less than a split second. So I was like, okay, I'm going to like go towards the fence. And also to make things worse, there was like a dustbin where just close to where the fence was, and the possibility of me hitting the dustbin was just like 99%. So thankfully the car I was driving was a front wheel drive car. I was like, okay, I was thinking if it was a rear wheel drive car, right? Um, obviously I would have spun out. But thankfully, the front wheel drive cars like have a lot more grip, though they don't have as much what's it called? I've forgotten, but they have a lot more grip, right? So I decided that all right, I'm just going to like go towards the fence and try to like dodge this dumbass in front of me. So then I did that, and somehow I cannot explain it. Somehow I missed the car, I missed the fence, I missed the dustbin that was there. I just fucking narrowly escaped a fatal crash that day. Like narrowly, I cannot. I'm not going to say I missed it. Like to tie everything I've been saying right now back to my theory of death, right? My new theory of death. I'm not going to say that I missed the fence, because that's just, I'm not John Wick. Do you understand? I'm not going to say I missed the fucking dustbin. I'm not going to say I didn't crash into the fucking car, because the car was quite literally in front of me, and there was nowhere else to go. And somehow I found myself on the other side of the road. No scratch, no accident, nothing. And I just continued on my journey. I don't know, I cannot explain it. But as I came across this new theory of death, of where people don't actually die, a new timeline just gets created where whatever that led to your death in your previous timeline actually didn't happen. I kind of started thinking that maybe in my previous timeline I actually died, right? I actually crashed into the car, or I actually like crashed into the fence, or I actually like crashed into the dustbin, or I went behind the car and then I crashed into that tree. Something happened, but these are three possibilities that are leading up to death that could have happened, right? But somehow, none of these very possible inevitable possibilities actually happened. I just somehow, like, you know, when they say there is a 99% chance of you there is a 99% chance of you not winning, but then somehow, like, imagine yourself using a plastic spoon to fight like a fucking like, for people that have played Elden Ring, right? And everybody knows there's this guy in Elden Ring called Let Me Solo Her, right? He's like a legend in Elden Ring. and he knows how to like defeat Millennia like without without any as in hustle. Like the guy is like a pro. He's like a god in the Elden Ring community. So imagine yourself using a plastic spoon, and everybody, if you've played Elden Ring, right? I mean, obviously you know how demonic the game is, and you know how just unnecessarily difficult and frustrating that game is, right? So just imagine yourself using like a fucking plastic spoon to fight Millennia, right? And you just know that you're going to die at least, as in for real, for real. Okay, for those that have not played the game, there's this game called Elden Ring, and they created the game just to frustrate human beings, just to frustrate people in life. Like people just want to come back from work and just relax, and you give them the game to play, and you're literally going to die 1,000 times. So imagine that you're playing the game with a plastic spoon, and you have to fight Millennia with that plastic spoon, and it is already guaranteed that you're going to die 1,000 times, right? For real. No, no, there's no question about it. That is how, but somehow you just manage to defeat her. That is how, just as in that is how, like, odd this whole accident stuff was for me. Like, there was no way I could have escaped it, but somehow I did, right? So it then got me thinking, right? Probably I died in that previous reality, and then I got transported to another reality where I somehow managed to escape. Because me, I cannot even tell you, I cannot even explain how I managed to wiggle myself through the car and just like, I don't know, get to the other side without any hassle or without any accident. I can't explain it to this day. Like, it happened a while ago, and yet I still can't explain it till today. But it happened. I am alive, and I am making this podcast, and I can feel myself, and I can like touch myself, and I know that I am not in heaven because life has still been difficult somehow, and I am alive. Do you understand? So the theory is I died in that previous fucking reality, and then a new reality got created, and me with all my consciousness and all that's the aggregate of my existence got imported into this new consciousness, into this new reality, and I am here right now talking about it. So that means that there is another reality where I'm dead, and that is going to be heartbreaking for the people that love me in that reality. And then in this new reality, I'm here. But the kind of weird thing about this whole new reality bullshit is that when you get transported into a new reality, a lot of things will be different. A lot of things will change. Like, things are not going to be as they were in your previous reality. Obviously, that happens in a lot of movies, and we know that, right? Things are going to be drastically different, entirely different. Like, as in, they're not even going to be unassuming. They're going to be in your face. They're going to be like, yeah, this this is too weird to happen, and so you have to like you're seeing that this is too weird to happen, and you're experiencing it, and you're like, what the fuck? How is this even real? Like, how is this real? Like, how can this be a real thing? You understand? So not even one of many of the things that I've experienced so far, ever since I came to this reality, ever since I started existing in this new reality, many of the things that have happened so far are obviously, first of all, COVID-19. After all, COVID-19 wasn't in fact as a result of someone eating bats. It actually was a science project gone gone wrong in a science lab in Wuhan, China, right? And somebody, probably the narration is that there was like a patient zero who then happened to spread it, and then we're in this situation right now. Another thing that I kind of have experienced or have noticed that is weird is that it feels like I know I always talk about this, like I always say this a lot, right? And also, first of all, before I continue, I like fleshing my thoughts out. So, like I like taking my time to explain myself so that people understand where I'm coming from and where I am and then where I'm going to. Like I like taking my time to do that because I've noticed that okay, like I want to start networking with other Nigerian podcasts, right? I want to do that. But so far the Nigerian podcasts I have seen are weird in sense that either they're talking about fucking relationships or what's this I don't know. They're just weird, man. Nigerian, I don't know. I'm not going to say Nigerian podcasts are weird, but the whole idea of podcasting is for you to either sit down with somebody and have a very like conscious present conversation where you guys like flesh out your opinions and obviously there will be times where you might not agree with each other, but then you have the time to like try to understand yourselves and communicate properly so that you can be able to agree with each other and then move on from there, right? Or if your podcast if the your podcast, let me say, the way you do your podcast, like the way I do it, where I just talk by myself, right? And you have an idea and you want to talk about it, um you actually have to think deeply about it or maybe take notes for people that take notes and before they like so that they can be able to like have points that they can talk about. Me, I don't do that. I just have everything in my head. um yeah, so that's also another way to do it, but and so that will have to take a lot of time, right? But I've seen podcasts that are like 5 minutes long. What? What? Like for example, now I came across this guy on Twitter. He's a Nigerian also, and he does podcasts. And I was like, okay, so let's network now. Let's see how we can work together and like get this thing going. Okay, let me check out your podcast. And then I went to his podcast and it's like most as in all his episodes, like all his they're just like 5 minutes long, 11 minutes long, 9 minutes long. Like what? And there was one episode where he was talking about religion, and it was 5 minutes long. You want to tell me that that's all you have to say about religion? You have like 5 minutes to talk about something as something as important and as something something as important as religion. You only have 5 minutes to talk about it. Like you don't have any other like angles that you can come that you can like come up to with it. Like you don't have any other like opinions about it. You don't have any other thing to add to it, and all you have to say about religion um can be condensed into a 5 minutes timeline. Like that doesn't make any sense. So forgive me for always going off on random tangents because but that's because I like talking about things deeply and I like going into details, right? So I feel like that's the reason why I enjoy this stuff. So yeah, if you really want to like talk about stuff, like really talk, as in really talk about them, because this podcasting, the whole idea of podcasting is for people to be able to express themselves. I know that there are a lot of podcasts where, yeah, for people to be able to express themselves, right? But there are a lot of podcasts where it's weird. Like, okay, first of all, who there are a lot of podcasts right now, and it seems like everybody has an opinion on something, but not everybody should. I don't know. I don't know. Let me not just go that much into it. All right. Everybody has the right to do whatever the fuck they want to do. So, like I was saying before, right? It feels like I have been ported and transported to a reality where, as in, people are actively, deliberately trying to destroy themselves and trying to destroy the world in general, right? Like there's this famous saying by Carl Sagan. He said where like in his famous in his there's this famous speech that he was talking about. He said, we are Johnny come latelys, we live in the cosmic boondocks, we emerged from microbes and muck, apes are our cousins, our thoughts and feelings are not fully under our control, and on top of all this, we're making a mess of our planet and becoming a danger to ourselves. The trapdoor beneath our feet swings open. We find ourselves in bottomless free fall. Because we actually don't know that we are fucking ourselves. We actually don't know that we are setting like an inescapable trap for ourselves. Like I feel like I've been transported to a reality where we are doing that desperately. Like we are desperately trying to destroy ourselves. We are desperately trying to harm ourselves. We are desperately trying to be in our own way. Like we no longer value progress. We no longer value life. We no longer value, we have become so full of ourselves that we don't even want to try, like we don't even care anymore. Like okay, for example, now you know how I don't know if anybody has seen the new Puss in Boots movie. Right now we are in right now, the way our life, the way things are going right now, we are, you know how in the movie Puss in Boots, right? How he was so full of himself in the beginning, so full of himself in the beginning of the movie, like he didn't care about anything. He felt like he had like 9 lives. He could do whatever he wanted to do. There were no consequences. You understand? Like he was just this higher than life character. That's that's who we are. That's what we are doing right now. Like in this present situation, like we're no longer cautious. We're no longer, as in, we're no longer like taking precaution. We're no longer being careful. We're no longer being, as in, sensitive and sensible and logical and intelligent. We're no longer being intelligent. That's the right word I'm trying to look for. Do you understand? It's like um to tie everything back to what I've been talking about, like to actually talk about what I want to talk about today, right? Our presidential inauguration in Nigeria just happened last week, and or yeah, last week, and now the person that literally every sensible person knows rigged the election to win, right? These are the points that the points I'm trying to make right now are the points, reasons why he should not be president. First of all, the person that everybody that has sense and is that can be able to think um knows that he rigged the election and is not supposed to be president. Secondly, he's incapable of being president because he's old. That's on that thing. Thirdly, he's incapable of being president because he's sick. Like he's sick. And finally, he's incapable of being president because he's corrupt. Like he's how can I like describe his level of corruption? Like he's exquisitely, as in the corruption has permeated to his marrows, and so his entire being is is him being corrupt. Do you understand? So this guy is demented. Like it's not like I'm being spiteful or I'm insulting or whatever. In fact, he's more than old enough to be my father. So why would I be that disrespectful, right? But I'm just trying to explain that he's actually for real, medically demented, because during the day of the inauguration, right, my nigga did not. My nigga did not know where the pulpit was, and he had to be manually directed to stand in front of the pulpit. And he was being held by the security forces so that he won't fall. Do you understand? Like he was being held and held up straight by the fucking security forces behind him so that he will not fall down, as because he's an old man, first of all, and he's weak and he's shaking. He has like Parkinson's and he cannot like think for himself. Like I don't know, man. How did we? Okay, normally, I would ask myself, like, how did we get into this situation? But the most logical explanation I can give is that I just happened to find myself in this reality where nothing makes sense. Like, our president is an actual puppet. Like, you want to tell me that? You want to tell me that this is the person that is going to run a country with 200 million people in it, like 200 million people with different, who come from different ethnic backgrounds and culture and religion and ways of life, and just, I don't know, 200 entire million people. You want to tell me that this is the person that has the people's interest at heart? Like, okay, he just came up with his new policies of fuel subsidy, which has already been redacted because obviously it's not going to work. That's not how it fucking works. For there to be fuel subsidy, every other thing has to be in place for that to happen, right? And now he's talking about increasing minimum wage. Like, is this okay? Listen, there's this there's this scenario I always play in my head. Like, I know I've talked about it before. Like, there's this monster that comes to the planet every 3,000 years. Like, it's a scenario that me and my best friend came up with in secondary school. And so there's this monster that comes to the planet every 3,000 years, and he picks one person, just only one person, to eat, right? And so we're like, what is the probability that me right now, I will be like, this is the 3,000th year that the monster is supposed to come to the planet to like pick his usual one person to eat, right? What is the probability that me as I'm just chilling by myself, that I will be the victim? Like, the probability is infinitesimally small, right? And so let's just take it up a notch. Like, what if there is an alien? Let's say, like, there's an alien race, and this alien race comes to planet Earth, and they say they want to fight us, and there's not going to be a war. Like, it's not going to be an all-out war where they like invade cities and destroy things. They just need to pick the most powerful person in the world, right? First of all, the most powerful man in the world right now, presently, to the best of our knowledge, is Joe Biden, right? The American president. And we have seen the video of him last week where he just where he just fell down, as because he's an old man. And bro, come on now. So if an alien comes to our planet now, and they want to, like, for I don't know if anybody has read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where in the beginning of the book, where the aliens came and then they were asking citizens of planet Earth why they had not yet been ready to to evacuate the planet, because obviously the planet was in their way of like building some kind of high-tech stuff. Like, just imagine that kind of scenario that happened in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And then they come to our planet, and they say they want to fight their strongest, like the most powerful person, not physically in this sense, like, but politically, let's say economically, stuff like that. They bring their most powerful alien president, whatever, to fight with our own most powerful president here on Earth. So are you saying that we are going to present him we are going to present this alien with Joe Biden that falls all the time? He falls from planes, he falls from bicycles, he does not even know where he is most of the time. So is that who, like, when they say, what is the alien going to say? The alien is going to be like, is this your champion? Like, is this our champion? That is the question I want to ask, is this our champion? So if that kind of thing happens now, is this our champion? Okay, now let's assume that they come to Nigeria now, right? And they say they want to fight the most strongest person in Nigeria, the most powerful man in Nigeria, who obviously is going to be the president. So is Tinubu, what is his other name self? What is everybody knows him as Tinubu, but what is his other name? I don't know. Wait, let's even look. Do I need to look? Who cares? Who cares? His name is Tinubu, right? Everybody know. I only know him as Tinubu. Who fucking cares at this point? So is that our champion? Like, Tinubu now? Okay, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but Jesus, is that our champion? So this is our champion. This is the entirety of Nigeria's representation. Like, Tinubu now is like, if they want to go for G20, G22 summit, if world leaders want to like come together and talk, like, this is who we are going to send now to go and speak for us. Like, this person that cannot even form an entire sentence is who we are going to like send to speak for us, to speak for us. That person. That's kind of sad though. So this is the reality. They did not when I was dying in that my previous reality, the people that are in charge, whatever the fuck is in charge of everything that is going on, did not think that maybe they should puts me in a reality that makes sense, where things actually are logical, right? They went and carried me and put me in this reality where Tinubu is president. So what do you expect me to like? Okay, now I'm here now, right now I'm here. So what do you expect me to do? What do you expect me to say? How do you expect me to react to this? Tinubu is president. Like, how do you expect me to react to this right now? Like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? How am I going to how are we supposed to navigate life from here onwards? What are we going to do? Uh, is there anything else to do? I don't know. Now, Nigerians now are about to protest because everything now is becoming ridiculously expensive. Transportation now has become an issue because of the whole fuel subsidy bullshit and the reducting of it. And wherever you want to go, that previously used to be a certain amount, that previously used to be a reasonable price, is now like just preposterously expensive. Like, people don't even, first of all, everywhere is the transportation now is expensive in Nigeria. So it's going to affect both the people that want to get to their destination and the taxi drivers and bus drivers and cab drivers and all of that stuff. The whole thing is just like a house of cards, and it's beginning to fall. It's beginning to like collapse on itself because we have a fucking older, sick ass, puppet ass president that does not know his left from his right. And now these fucking Turkish people now are beginning to I don't know what they're celebrating. I don't know what it is that they're celebrating now. That is also these people, these people, their own is just different. Now, what I say, what are you honking for now? What are you honking for? Their own is just different. Their own is that their president. This is the kind of reality I am finding myself in. God, oh, their president, their Turkish president, does not want to, as in their currency is just like on a free fall. Fuck, my dad is calling. Hold on. All right, so I'm back. So I was talking about these Turkish people and how their currency is just like losing value every fucking day, and their president doesn't want to do anything about it. He doesn't want to like increase interest rates, and the currency is just like it's just being devalued every single fucking day. Dollar is increasing, stuff like that, and his reason, the best reason that he can come up with, like the most logical reason that he can come up with why he doesn't want to increase interest rates as their currency is hemorrhaging value every single day. The best reason that this nigga can come up with is that he's a Muslim and it is against his religion to add interest to what. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't really understand. Like, so this is where I am right now. Like, I am in a world where people don't have sense. Like, for real. Like, I'm in a world where like there are a lot of people that you think have sense, so, but they don't actually have sense. Like, people are working with empty brains. There's one time I was walking. There's one time, I don't know where I was coming back from, and then there was a roadblock. There was construction going on somewhere, and then there was a roadblock, right? And there was like the road was closed. Like, there was a clear sign that the road is closed, and so cars are not supposed to pass here. There is like there was a barrier there, and everything was closed, and you could see construction people, like the trucks and everything. They were walking on the road, and the road was closed. And then everybody knows that this road is closed. Like, every car that was passing there will be like, oh, okay, this road is closed. I don't have to pass here. There's another way I can pass. Then there is this guy. He drives, and he's driving towards he's driving towards the signpost that clearly reads road closed, construction going on, clearly. And he's driving towards it. And then he gets to the place, like he gets to directly in front of the signpost. And then he gets there, and then he turns back, and then he drives back. Like, there are people that God, ah, oh God, like there are people that don't have sense. So in this world, like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing for real? Like, let's just be realistic. Let's all sit down and just like drink cold water and just like like slow down a little bit and assess the situation. What is actually going on? What is actually going on? So in this world now, you're telling me that people are debating the meaning of what a man and the meaning of what a woman is. Like, we people in the West, right? Are for people in the West are debating what a woman is. Like, there is no longer a definitive definition of what a woman is in America now, like in the West, in the Western world now. Like, they are saying a woman is whatever you feel like being, and like, you don't necessarily have to have the ability to get pregnant. You don't necessarily have to have the ability to experience a period every month. You don't necessarily have to have an XX chromosome to be a woman. Like, that is where we are right now. Also, we're in a situation where, as in, people are so, as in, there's something called Pride Month. What's like June now is June, this month of June is Pride Month, where people who claim to be a minority, people who claim to be, you know, what is that useless, stupid word that they always use right now? Discriminated against. Like, they like to claim that that people discriminate. Like, but that's not true, because literally everywhere, like literally everywhere, you see rainbow flags, both in movies, both in commercials, both on products, both in, like, even on things that you don't even expect them to be on, in cartoons, in children's books, in schools, in churches. Like, I'm not even a Christian. Oh. I'm not a Christian, but the way the thing is now being flooded into our in front of us, like, it's becoming alarming, right? It's becoming alarming, and it's weird, and it's kind of, I'm not going, it's weird. First of all, like, we have established that it's weird, but it's kind of scary, because what are they trying to do? Like, there's this podcast I was listening to, and I cannot really explain it as well. I don't remember enough details to be able to explain it as well as it was explained in the podcast. But the guy was talking about how the people in the World Economic Forum, like all these evil people that's the leaders in the World Economic Forum, like, the reason they are the ones that are behind all of this shit that is happening right now, and they actually want to they are actually trying to deliberately and actively trying to depopulate the world, because this guy, what's his name, George Soros, is it George Soros or Klaus Schwab's, right? Yeah, not George Soros, Klaus Schwab's, the leader of the World Economic Forum. He's actually trying to depopulate the entire world to 500 million people, so that there will be enough resources for everybody, which I don't know how that makes any sense. But for one of the main, because they cannot convince you to not give birth, because they tried it in China in the past, in the 70s or so, where China came up with this one child policy, and they stopped people from giving birth. And if you give birth to, and so male children were now more valuable than female children. So, like, in the 70s, China came up with this like one child policy, and so every family had to have one child, so that they could like reduce their population, right? Because those people fucking nuts, the Chinese and the Indians. So and so, as a consequence of that, male children male children were now more like kind of more important than female children. And so, like, they also, I don't know if you can remember this joke in Family Guy where like a fucking I don't know, let's not go that much into it. So anyway, so, but now the Chinese people now there is a problem now in China where, because of that policy that they made in the 70s, they are now having a population deficit, where now only one child now has to take care of his parents and his grandparents. So it's something called 2-1. I don't really know how to explain it. But now they're in a situation where, first of all, there are not a lot of women to get married to and start raising children, and so and also the and also it's very tasking for one person to take care of two parents and also two grand or sorry 4-1, not 2-1, two parents and four grandparents. So that's kind of weird, right? So now women are scarce in China, and another problem again is that young people are not having sex and young people are not getting married because life is difficult and everything is expensive, and for you to come and for you to start a family right now, you have to like have a lot of money. You understand? So the people that the leaders of the World Economic Forum have seen that if they follow the way that China went about it in the past, people are not going to accept it. You understand? So they have to come up with a way that people will be not only willing to accept it, but commend themselves and congratulate themselves and see themselves as like holy. You understand? See themselves as good people for wanting to to reduce the population. So they've kind of in some way, I cannot even understand how they did it. Do you understand? But it took a very long time. It's called demoralization. There is this Russian KGB defector. Like he was a Russian spy, and then he defected to the United States. I think it was in the 80s or so, and then he was in an interview. His name is Yuri Bezmenov. I don't know, you can look him up on YouTube. So he was in an interview. He was in an interview, and he was talking about how Russia plans to destroy America. It's not, and what he was talking about is that it's not going to be like the whole James Bond, or they're not going to invade America, because literally everybody in America has guns. Like literally everyone in America has guns. Like there's this I know I'm just talking like I'm giving like different, just to make one point. I'm trying to come up with different things just to make one point. Okay. So everybody in America has guns, basically. So they're not going to invade America because they're obviously going to lose. So the next best way they can come up with to be able to defeat America is they are in the interview he was talking about different ways. One of the ways being there's something called active measure. One of them is active measures, the other one is normalization, and then the third one is demoralization. So I'm not going to go into the first two, so I'm just going to focus on demoralization. So to make the population of a particular country so decadent and so immoral that they themselves are going to be so there'll be so disunity in the country that they'll eat themselves up, and then they'll be very easy to pick off. Do you understand? They'll be very easy to invade, and then they'll be very easy to defeat and control and stuff like that. So, but active measures and normalization leads to demoralization, and then invasion, and ultimately defeat. So this World Economic Forum that is run by Klaus Schwab, who is a real life villain, you can Google him and look at what he looks like. So he knows that this is not how to, like, he knows that the way that China did it is not the best way to do it. So the next best way to do it is like to demoralize a country to the extent that they themselves will be willing to like destroy themselves by themselves. So right now, and so one of the ways to do that is to like make corporations. Like, I don't know how he's going to make corporations. Okay, I know everybody has seen this whole bullshit with what's it fucking called, Bud Light. And in fact, we have seen corporations that are always supporting LGBTQIA, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, X, Y, Z, plus, minus, all these people, right? Like, you have to understand, why would a corporation care about the sexuality of a particular sex or group of people? Like, why would something like Target or Bud Light or like Ford, because Ford now came up with, or Disney, or like, why would they want to like indoctrinate all this? Why would they want to go the extra mile to indoctrinate children with these bullshits, right? It's so that children are very the minds of kids are very malleable. They are very, like, you can mold them into whatever into whatever you want them to be, even though they're going to grow up to be their own people. But if you have that blueprint, if you have that template of whatever it is that you want them to be, they're going to grow up in your image, right? So that's how they're doing it. They're now like indoctrinating, and they're now like putting these things into books and into cartoons and into movies. Like, there's no movie now that nobody is gay, right? There's no movie now that you're watching that's at least, and this is like, there's this other new stuff that I saw on in Hollywood, where they are giving Hollywood the condition that at least 1/3 of your cast or crew or whatever anybody working on the anybody working on the movie has to be either a person of color, has to be either handicapped, or has to be gay or queer or trans or something, right? So now everybody is working, like, it's working so well, because these people that they go to school, like all these stupid children, all these fucking kids that go to school, and then they are being taught that that men and women are the same, that there's no inherent difference between men and women. They are being taught that you don't have to be you don't have to you can sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. You don't have to be moral. You don't have to be disciplined. They are being taught that there is no such thing as straight. That being gay is normal. They're being taught all these weird things, and then these people graduate from school and enter into the corporate world, and then become like managers and head and like prominent people in the corporate world. That's how we have this whole Bud Light bullshit, where this head, I don't know who she is, who graduated, and then she's now working, she started working for Bud Light, and then she thought that the quintessential core market targets for Bud Light, like mostly men that drink beer, don't matter anymore. That the people now that matter are trans people. Like, I don't know what kind of warped reality that that you're living in, that you think that is what is going to sell your markets. Do you understand? So everybody now is just driving towards this whole gay stuff, which is kind of scary and weird, like rightfully weird, right? Now, the consequence of that is that, obviously, if two women are in a relationship, or if two men are in a relationship, there will be no offsprings, and so the consequence of that is population reduction. That is the consequence of that. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to reduce the population from 8 billion to 500 million, and 500 million people that are easily controllable. Not 500 million people that will not revolt. 500 million people that don't know what the fuck is going on. 500 million people that are basically sheep, that are being told whatever, that do whatever they are told to do. Like, basically, they are turning into Big Brother. Like, we're as in, there's a quote that I saw. There's a quote I saw somewhere, where we are living in a dystopian like we are as in, bro. Okay, now there's another thing I want to talk about, right? Could it be that this new reality that I have found myself in always happens to be that whenever you get transported to another reality, it ends up being a kind of dystopian reality where things are just weird. Like, there is never a reality where things are good, where things are just logically correct. I don't know. So there's this quote I saw somewhere. I cannot remember where I saw it now, where we are living in a dystopian reality that is more evil. Okay, I think it was Jordan Peterson that said it. We're living in a reality that is more evil than George Orwell wrote in his book 1984, and also that is more evil than both 1984 and Brave New World combined. Like, it's kind of fucked up that we're living in that kind of reality that is a lot worse than in Brave New World and also in 1984. That we're living with actual, like, for real, like, in in the literal sense of the word, we are living with actual evil people that want to destroy the world, like actual, like movie villains that actually want to destroy this world, which is just wild, which is just kind of crazy. That we're living with these kind of people that don't want peace, that don't want progress. They just want power. They just want control. They just want everything to themselves. They just want to like oversee everything. You understand? So that's the kind of reality that I found myself in, and it's not going to end well because it's not good. It's not going to end well. Let me not just go too far. It's literally not going to end well, and I don't know how else I'm going to. Maybe I just hope that if I just hope in my next transportation, my whole consciousness is also carried the same way it was carried, ported from the other reality to this one. Everything just gets carried into the next reality, and that reality is better than this one because nothing good is going to come out. Listen, let me tell you, America is going to, the way it is heading right now, the way it is headed right now, it's literally, as in civilizations, greater civilizations greater civilizations in the past have ended. The Roman civilization ended, the Greek civilization ended, this Indian civilization ended, the Egyptian civilization ended, bro. The Prussian civilization ended. Greater civilizations have died, have ended, and civilizations that have lasted for thousands of years. America is just like what, 200 plus years old, and they are the precipice of destruction. Like they are at the precipice of destruction. Like their president is weak. Their president is just does not know his left from right, just like our just like our own president. Like the lunatics have now taken over the asylum. Like mad people are now in control. Like no logical person now is in charge of anything in America. Mad people have now taken over, and nobody, the people that are sensible are the ones that are shouting out and trying to like stop the train from derailing. Like everybody can see that this train is about to derail, and the people that are sensible are trying to like beckon to the people that are in charge, beckon to the captain of the train, beckon to the driver of the train to like change course, because if it does not change course, the train is going to get derailed, and there's going to be a lot of destruction. A lot of people are going to die. Imagine a world where China takes over. Imagine a world where Russia takes over. You understand? Imagine a world where Iran takes over. All these countries that are being run by authoritarian powers. You understand? Imagine totalitarian powers. You understand? Imagine dictators, basically. Imagine a world where America, the beacon of freedom and hope and opportunity and progress and capitalism and like just all that is right and good, quote unquote right and good, even though we know that America really is just as evil as every other country, right? But at least they have this trait, they have this character that everybody is known for, that you can go there and there's opportunity for you to make it in life. There's opportunity, there's freedom for you to like diss the president and diss anyone in government. Even though there's this movie I just saw now, I saw earlier today, called Reality, on HBO, about this girl that was a contractor for the NSA, and then she found something that's as in she found something damning, like a classified document when Trump was running for president, that ties him to Russia, and so she leaked it, and then Trump came for her, and then she was arrested and sent to prison. Like, it was a kind of weird movie. And then I looked the girl up, and it's kind of weird, bro, that we think that these people that are in power, like America is a country where there is freedom. There is no freedom in America, bro. You think you have freedom, but there really isn't any freedom. I know I said I was going to talk about freedom in my previous episode, but today is not the day. It's going to be another day, bro, because right now what is happening is scary, and you have to be awake. Not woke. I'm not talking about being woke, because woke now, for people now that say that they are woke now, most of them have purple hair, most of them have colored hair. Like, I don't want to say I'm woke. Like, you have to be conscious of what is going on, because the world is changing. Like, for real, bro. Like, things are actually happening in this world that as in, they are scary. Like, bro, nuclear. There's this new movie Oppenheimer that is coming out. I watched the documentary. Of the atomic bomb, but Christopher Nolan is coming up with. Is it Christopher Nolan? He's coming up with the new movie Oppenheimer about the story of the guy that created the atomic bomb, and I feel like that story has to be a reminder that this is actually what can happen, bro. We're at the brink of third world war. Like, this podcast I was talking about earlier, and he was talking about how it is very easy for everything now, like the power grid in America, most of the transformers and most of the power stations in America, the equipment that they use are being made in China. So who's to say that the equipment that the Chinese people, that the American people are using, that has been made in China, there is no like kill switch that the Chinese people can just turn on at any time and then just turn off all the lights of all the electricity in America, and everybody just go into darkness. Like, we saw what happened a few years ago in Texas, right? Where like there was power failure. Imagine we now in Nigeria that we have constant power failure and everybody just goes about their normal day like nothing happens. But in America, in Texas, there was power failure for how many days, and a lot of like 200 people died just because just because NEPA took lights in America. Like 200 people died. That's how crazy this thing is. So if there's a kill switch now, and in the podcast the guy was talking about, there are nine power stations in America, like 9 strategic power stations in America that they can turn off, and then the whole of America basically will just like collapse. Do you understand? So this is where we are. We're in a situation where China is doing their possible best to become world power. They are coming to Africa now. They are giving our stupid African governments, they are giving them deals where they'll make contracts for them to build cities, for them to build bridges, to build infrastructure for this stupid African government that don't have any sense. Our African governments don't have sense. They don't have sense, because if they had sense, they will know what China is trying to do. America invades countries with weapons, right? China invades countries with economics. So they will enter your country and then they will tell your government that they're going to help you build this and that and that. And they are the ones that are going to build it with their own engineers, with their own construction workers, with their own equipment. And they'll build it on your land. And now you're going to owe them. And there will be a time when they want to come and collect back the money that you're owing them. And because our useless, stupid, senseless, illogical African government, obviously the money that the Chinese people will give them, they are obviously going to chop the money. They're not going to use it for anything important, obviously. So when China give you $30 billion and you chop and you carry the money and put it in your pocket, there will be a time when China will say, bro, that money that money that I gave you at time, how far the money? Like, I need the money back. Now you don't have $30 billion to give back to China. What are you going to do? So that infrastructure that they built for you that time, they're going to take it. They will take it now, because do you have 30 billion? Okay, if your father have land, let's say your father, you that are listening to this podcast now, your father has land, and Nigerian government did deal with China that there are some trains that during that Goodluck Jonathan era, there are some trains that they bought that time, some older trains that they bought for how many billion dollars, and now we cannot pay back the money because obviously the corrupt government have chowed the money. Now China say that they want the money back, and obviously we cannot pay back. And now your father's land, the only land that your father left for you, the Chinese people say that they want to come and take it. What will you do? No, what will you do? That's my question. What will you do? There's nothing you can. Are you going to go and consult your village people? What will your village people do? No amount of juju will work, because obviously juju does not work. There's nothing that can happen. They'll take the land and there's nothing you can do. So this is how China is going to invade Africa and going to colonize Africa and going to like own Africa and going to enslave Africa. And while they are doing all these things, they are trying their best to like become world power. They are doing deals with other countries now. They're trying to like they are trying to devalue the dollar. They're trying to come up with their own new form of new modern currency called BRICS. And America is there mumuing itself, doing transgender, doing gay, doing pride month, doing as in just mumuing themselves, because they think that they still have the upper hand. They think that they're still the top dog. They don't know what is they don't know what is going on, bro. They absolutely have no idea what the fuck is going on. And if they continue to like, if they don't change their ways, bro, China is going to win, Russia is going to win, and it's going to affect not only the Americans, it's going to affect every other country. Many countries. It's going to affect a lot of people, because what else is going to be, how are we going to, like, for example, now the naira, now what are we going to like, how is it going to be valued? Because our naira is not backed by gold. It's not backed by what is our naira even? What is the core value? What is the core value of our naira? Like, what is it backed by? It's not backed by gold, so it does not have any value. So they just print money out of thin air and then give it to the Nigerian people, and then the next thing that is backed by is the American dollars, right? So if the American dollars fails, also the naira will fail, and then the Nigerian economy will fail. Same thing with most African countries, same thing with almost everywhere in the world. So that's where we are. That's the reality that I have been transported to. That's the reality that I currently find myself in, where everything is just weird and dystopian and surreal and morbid. And I hope things change. That's where I can stop for today. I've been talking for a long time and I'm kind of hungry, and I want to go and get dinner. So yeah, that's that about that. We are living in an alternate universe. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears. There is always a way to like support me. I know I don't have any patron right now. I know I don't have any of that stuff right now. But there's always a way to support me. Just support me by sharing it. That's all. Sharing the link to the episode, and that's it. And also rating the podcast. That's basically it. That's it. No, you don't have to. There's no there's no complication about it. To help me share it with people that you think might be interested in listening to it. And also follow me on Twitter at GeneralPrime1, and send me an email if you want to collaborate at generalprime14@gmail.com. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears, and I will talk to you guys next week. All right, bye everybody.